nerds and nerdettes and wee little nerdlings all. It's your buddy Big John and G, the Two Gun Pixie presents Legendary Gaming.
So nice to see everyone here for a Monday monologue, and I want to delve back into building gaming shelves. And right now I'd like to talk about building up and putting together a great zombie-inspired board game shelf. So I'll see everyone right downstairs at the table. Zombies. To tell you the truth, in board games, I'm getting a little tired of the zombie theme. All seems very similar to me between game to game, but there are some games that stand out to me. So why don't we discuss about building your zombie board game shelf? Because there are noteworthy games out there. Now, as I often like to do, starting the list off with games that are specifically one player or two players, I didn't find any. I found games, I know games that can accommodate one or two players, but aren't specifically made for that player count. So I'm gonna skip those two categories. Now, moving on to competitive games, I of course found quite a few. Now, the first game on my list I want to talk about is a game that I've talked about a lot. I've played a lot. Me and Tommy V play it all the time, actually. And that's Zombie Dice. Zombie Dice is by Steve Jackson Games. It's good for 2 to 99 players. It can accommodate really any amount of players. Just the more players you add, the more downtime between the rounds. But the rounds go fairly quick, to tell you the truth. And also I want to make another asterisk and say that you can play this game one player. I've played it one player a few times, where you just see how many brains you can get before you get shotgunned 3 times. And it was fun for what it was. And the game is good for ages 10 and up and should take 10 to 20 minutes. So the idea of this game is you are a zombie. Yes, you are the eater of flesh, the devourer of brains. And you roll the dice and you try to eat, well, brains. And sometimes the roll comes up that they run away, and other times the roll comes up that you get shotgunned. So this is a push your luck game, where you are going to be scoring your points only after you decide to end. If you get shotgunned 3 times, that is not your decision and you lose out all of those points. We find the game gets really fun when everyone at the table is pushing and urging the person to continue rolling. One of the mottos of the game is one more roll. So a fast, fun, push your luck style game that you want to start off with in your zombie shelf collection is definitely Zombie Dice. Now, another game that is a great competitive game, zombie-based, is Bang! The Walking Dead. So this is based on the card game. There is also a dice game. I'm thinking about getting the dice game. I currently have the card game, and I know I prefer the dice game of Bang over the regular card game. But for right now, let's talk about what I have, what I've experienced with, and that's the card game. If you're a fan of The Walking Dead, then this is a pretty interesting game. It's not a whole big story of The Walking Dead or anything. It is kind of like focused in on one moment, and that is a moment of untrust, so to speak. Everyone in the game knows who the leader is. That's open information. But nobody knows who anybody else is. So some of them may be there to help the leader, some of them may be there to take the leader down, and some might be there to see everybody burn. And you're going to be fighting around the table, being able to attack people depending on how far away they are from you sitting at the table, which is an interesting twist, I thought, for distance in a game. And of course, there are the dead. So besides the fact that you're attacking each other, killing each other off, the dead are all around you, and there will be insurgents of the dead coming out during the course of the game where they will just wreak havoc on everyone nearby. If you're a fan of The Walking Dead and you want a fast play game, this is by USopoly, 4 to 7 players, ages 13 and up. It only takes 20 to 30 minutes. So if you're looking for a fast play game and you're a fan of The Walking Dead, this is a great hidden role game. And you're definitely going to want to check out, bang, The Walking Dead. And also I want to let you know about another game called Zombie Flux. It's another competitive game in the zombie board game shelves. This is by Looney Labs, and it's good for 2 to 6 players, ages 8 and up, and should take anywhere from 10 to 40 minutes. I don't think I've played a game that lasts longer than an hour, except that one time I mixed Zombie Flux and Cthulhu Flux. Ooh, that was tough. But Zombie Flux itself, like all the Flux games, they're fast play card games. And in this game, the players, as in any Flux game, are determining the goal of the game and any rules in the game. The game starts over the basic, draw 1, play 1 card. But if you happen to play a card that changes the rule to draw 3, play 2, that's the new rule. And then you might get a goal that you need a car, gas, and a sandwich to escape. And if you can get those in your play area, you win the game. But from turn to turn, any player can change the goal or the rules because the game is in a constant state of flux. So there's a large number of games in this series, but their zombie game is fairly fun. So that's another fast-paced game. If you prefer a nice card game, then you want to take a look at Zombie Flux. Cooperative games. In the theme and genre of zombies, they're not always as easy or numerous to find as the competitive games, but there are a few good ones out there, and the first one I want to tell you about literally feels like Resident Evil. And that game is called DarkerDarkest. This is by Queen Games. It's good for 2 to 5 players, ages 15 and up, and is going to take you about 120 minutes to play. Now, as I said, this game looks and feels like you were playing Resident Evil on a board game, although legally it is not. So the players are all working collectively, but this is a little bit different than a lot of the other zombie games. This isn't a survival and escape game like many of the human-centered zombie games are. In this one, you know where the source is, and you are going there to stop it, to stop the evil doctor and put an end to his plans and find the antidote to end this zombie plague. Sounds easy enough. Just break into a mansion filled with zombies, monstrous creatures, a security system itself that is not only watching your every move, but actively working against you. Oh, and did I mention the entire place is burning to the ground? There's a lot of tension, there's a lot of action in it, but it's not an anxiety game. It's not a game that's going to make you bite your fingernails off, though you may nibble on them a little bit. This is going to give you that feel, as I said, of Resident Evil in a box. And if that's what you're looking for a board game experience, then your shelf is definitely going to need DarkerDarkest. Now, the next thing I want to talk about does have an aspect of it that it kind of fits into the 2-player mode game, but not enough for me. I felt that it was separate from that. And that game is Last Night on Earth. This is by Flying Frog Productions. It's good for 2 to 6 players, ages 10 and up, and should take about 60 to 120 minutes. Now, the reason I prefaced this that way is because in this game, one player or two players, depending on the number of players in the game, will be facing off against the human players. So this also treads the line a little bit between the next category that I would be going into, and that's one versus all games. So this one game, Last Night on Earth, does. It covers cooperative games, it covers one versus all games, and it does cover two-player / team versus style games. And there are different scenarios in the game that you're going to play out, but they mostly do come down to survival and or escape styles of gaming, with one side or team playing the zombies and the other the humans. It gets pretty nitty-gritty with the tactics that are going to be going back and forth that are generated by the cards for both sides as they come into the hands. Now, there is no other one versus all style zombie game that I'm aware of that I've played, that I have firsthand experience of, to let me talk to you about it. Yes, Last Night on Earth did kind of cover that a little bit, but there's another game I want to end off with, which is actually semi-cooperative. So this kind of blurs the line between cooperative and competitive, and that is Dead of Winter. There's a standalone sequel, The Long Night, and then there's a smaller box expansion, Warring Colonies, that if you have the prior two games, the first two, you can have a large party play this game. Literally, it's two different surviving colonies trying to survive against each other. But Dead of Winter is published by Plaid Hat Games, is good for 2 to 5 players, ages 13 and up, and should take about 60 to 120 minutes. This game feels exactly like what a zombie movie is supposed to be. Zombie movies are not about the zombies. Get that out of your head. They're just a force of nature. Little different from the sea is in The Old Man and the Sea. The real story in any zombie game is the ability to remain human. I don't mean not turn into a zombie, I mean retain your humanity, to be a civilized creature in the middle of all of this zombie apocalypse craziness. And this game captures that perfectly. You and the other players are part of a colony, though each player is playing their own character, and they may have their own followers, but it is still overall a team effort. The game also does have a betrayer mode. You don't have to play with it, but there are cards that you can dish out that may make one of the players a betrayer. Now, although this game is listed for ages 13 and up, I need to put an asterisk here, because some of the cards, the crossroad cards as they call them in the game, which is these moments of decision making, and they are all hard case decisions, but some of them are quite violent and they have a special marking on them, and others are just quite adult and they also have a special marking on them, so that it's easy to take them out of the game if you want to, or put them all in the game. Either way you want to flow, that's the way it's going to go. But this really does, more than anything else, this captures the experience that really good zombie movies, really good Romero movies have tried to portray. And if you're looking for that for a board game, for a zombie collection, Dead of Winter or Dead of Winter Long Night, that's the one you're going to want to start with. Well, thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for joining me here so I can tell you what are some great zombie games if you're trying to start a zombie shelf in your game room. I'll see you next time, everyone. I'm your buddy Big Johnny G for Two Gun Pixie presents Legendary Gaming, my friends. I am out of here.